Hello there, and welcome to another podcast hosted by none other than myself, Carul Swords. This is the podcast where we talk about things related to indie publishing. We talk about the tools that are available to you, the websites, the writers' communities, online, offline, and otherwise. And we talk about my own results and experiences of using them and how effective they've been in their goals, whether it's getting more readers, whether it's getting good results with your written work, or getting paid for the effort that you're making. It's not a masterclass. It's not the be all and end all and everything in between of indie publishing. It's simply my own perspective, my own experiences, and hopefully your own experiences in the comments section below. Today we're going to be talking about video editing. This might sound kind of a little unusual, perhaps if you're an author, who cares about videos and video editing? But there's a number of reasons why you might need to do video editing, and you might need video software. One of them would be if you're doing book trailers. You've got to be able to put together the images and the audio, or the footage, the film. So you're going to need an editor in that case. If you are doing any sort of interviews that require you to film yourself, then again you're going to need some video editing software and some competence in using it. If you're also doing anything, maybe sketches or fan mail stuff, or you're even doing readings of your work and you're putting it online on YouTube or Vimeo or any place like that, then again you're going to need to have some video software and video editing programs. This is very new to me, so if it's new to you, then perhaps before you get started, or now that you're a little way into it, you'll find this of some use. There's a bunch of videos out there related to different software you can use. I'm only coming at it kind of from the perspective writer, so that's the perspective I'm coming from. Now, in terms of video editing software, if you're on a budget, and who isn't, the likes of the sort of Adobe Pro Spotlight, I can't even remember the name of it, that's how little I use it, but there is paid software out there you can use. For my money though, the one that I'd go for is the VSDC Editor Suite, or program. It's absolutely free. You can get it in a bunch of different sources. I think I got mine from CNET. You can probably download it from their website. By the way, I don't have any affiliation to VSDC editing software. It's just the one I use. Now, it's not overly complicated. You can pick it up pretty quickly, and there's a lot of functionality in it for free software. I had looked at using Windows Media, like Movie Maker or something like that, and even though I think it's supposed to be more basic, I didn't find it as easy to use. The VSDC allows you to do a lot of things. It allows you to split the audio and the film that you get from your camera, which for me is important because the camera's audio on the camera I use isn't up to scratch. I need to use a digital recorder on top of it, and that means syncing it up, and I found that VSDC allows me both to break apart the audio and the video from the camera footage, and then insert and sync up the audio on my digital recorder with the video footage from the camera. One of the things, maybe just to say off the bat, about a lot of the software that you're going to use, paid or otherwise, it's important to convert the video once it's in the software. You'll see buttons for all that when you're using the software itself, but it's better to convert it inside the program before previewing it and trying to see if you're getting the audio to sync up, or if you're getting the cuts you're making in the footage correct. Otherwise it gets very choppy, and it's difficult to actually see if you're syncing it properly, because everything is being stopped and started, and it's a bit, it's just difficult. When I was making short kind of mockumentary films, or like basically I was doing nature footage, kind of like David Attenborough, but with my own kind of humor injected into it. And I used, because I don't have any footage, I needed to use footage that's available. I used Videezy, which is Videezy, and I found footage that people had uploaded that is free to use and free to modify. And that's really important. You don't want to be using someone's stuff if you're not allowed to. And if you are looking to put it up on YouTube, then you may be asked to monetize the footage. You may wish to do so, you may want to do it for other reasons, but that makes it commercial. If they're not accepting of you using it for commercial purposes, then you're going to have to find something else. But I found Videezy to be great because there's a lot of stuff there, and it's kind of within the Creative Commons domain, let's say. Creative Commons has different levels of like what you can do with the footage. Check out Creative Commons if you don't know what I'm talking about, but it allows you to do what you want with the video, but there is different levels, as I said, so you can sometimes use it for commercial purpose, sometimes you can't, sometimes you can modify it, sometimes you can't. It's worth checking into. Another thing that I found from with a lesser camera, one where the quality of the footage is okay, but it's not as good as what's out there now, like maybe a camera that's 3 or 4 years old. I found personally, for the sort of stuff I'm trying to do, that a black and white picture is better. The color kind of is distracting. It also doesn't look as well. The camera, at least I have, which is a couple of years old, does better when I do things in black and white. And because creating my own footage, it's mostly of me in front of the camera talking, kind of essentially interviews, or like talking to camera and talking to the viewer. Black and white's best. There's less distractions and helps, I think, people focus on me and what I'm saying, rather than kind of the visual as much. And it's clean and clear. But that's just my opinion. In the bottom, in the section below, you can talk about whether you see it differently. Maybe another thing to consider when you are editing stuff together, whether it's a reading that you're doing. I did a reading a couple of months back to promote the short story collection that I've released, Bedtime Stories for Grown-Ups. I did some readings, and what I found, and this was, I was getting help at the time, so I was kind of using the experience of the camera person. If there was a situation where I made like a mistake or two, it was easier just to do the scene over, rather than having to work with the mistakes and try and edit them out and then sync up the audio. It would be easier just to start over again. Now, depending on what you're doing, that can be easier said than done. Maybe if you only made 1 or 2 mistakes in a scene, that would be considered a success. In my case, I was reading my stories from a book, so there wasn't as much chance of me making a mistake, so it was better to just go back, start it over again, and get an error-free scene, rather than have to, in the editing later on, try and cut the stuff together to fit properly. But if you do have to cut it together for some reason, then it's a good idea to film a section where you're not looking at the person's mouth, or like looking at hands might be an idea, looking from behind, or just getting a different angle so that you can cut together the footage easier when there has been a mistake. It's an option anyway. Consider it, I guess. And another thing, maybe for the moment, and we won't go on too much more, is to getting a bit lost, such is life, hey? I'm not going to edit this part, so you're just going to have to accept the pause. But another thing to do is to, when you start, always give yourself a few seconds. This is useful for when you're syncing up the audio and the visual later on. Just kind of start into it, give yourself a countdown, like 3, 2, 1, go. Then start into it. because that makes it easier when you are trying to sync up the audio later. And you want as many hassle-free editing sessions as you can. That's why, again, you're trying to make as few errors in a scene as possible, and it cuts down so much. Doing a scene again and spending 10 minutes on it is far preferable to going back and having to spend an hour or 2 hours cutting something together in order to get it right. And even then, it mightn't be as good. So always, if there's an opportunity, if it's possible, and do another take rather than try and fit it all together in post-production or whatever, in the editing. I'm not going to start using film speak because it's just not a world that I'm very involved with. We'll leave it there for the moment. That's probably enough. If you have anything to add, and I'm sure a lot of you do because you're doing a lot more of this stuff than me, then leave a comment in the section below. If you have any questions or queries, again, leave them in the comment section below and I'll get back to you. If you liked the episode, there's plenty of others in the series, check in on them. And if you find overall that the series is useful to you, then why not give a donation? There's, any amount is appreciated and goes towards helping us to keep doing these and to do other projects. You can find links to my other work, both to my books and to the stuff I'm putting up on YouTube in the section below. Other than that, if you do have any work that you're looking for help with audio wise and you like the sound of me, you think we'd work together well, then again, get in touch with me. There's a bunch of ways to do that. But other than that, folks, I think we'll leave it there. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I've been Carul Swords, I'm still Carul Swords. Bye bye.